Alright, so with the vehicle idling, AC pumping, you see ever so often losing communication, you know, with certain pits, right? If I step on the X, it goes up, but I have a delay right here. Let's do it again. All right, what up, folks? All right, so we got a 2006 Dodge Charger with the 5.7 Hemi V8. Right, customer complaint is that he's been to various shops and his vehicle is still running poorly. Right, he left a long list of things that was done to the vehicle or what happened. Right, I'm just gonna skim through it in a bit, but he basically want his vehicle to be, you know, up and running smoothly. This is a daily driven vehicle and he really not sure exactly what's going on, right? And no one seems to be able to give him some kind of you know, justice for his money then, you dig? And he said that he replaced the ECU, and this is the original ECU right here, right? This is the cover for the where the ECU's at, right? He also replaced the pedal sensor and the throttle, right? And he's still having an issue with his vehicle and he's not sure exactly what is being done, right? So long story short, from what I'm gathering, is that he had an initial issue with the original PCM, which is this one, right? You see that they try to open it, and then when he replaced the ECU, right, he sent it out to be programmed and stuff like that. This ECU also has the same problem and you're not sure exactly what's going on, right? So he brought it here on a tow truck because it was unable to drive due to loss of power and trying to figure out what's going on, right? As I said, man, he left a long list of things, what's happening, but it's kind of too long to be going over and over. Also, I believe he said on this issue he was experiencing like a misfire and I think like per solenoid and stuff like that problems, but as I said, he's not sure, right? That's why he replaced the ECU and he's still having the same problem. So his next step was to replace the harness, but he said before he does that, you know, he was advised to get it checked properly, right? So let's start the vehicle up and see exactly what's going on. All right, so let's see what's good. Oh, vehicle sound horrible. Okay, before we do anything, let's do a visual, right? I'm not sure if anything was left unplugged, but let's do a little visual on this car before we do anything else. I pressed the park. So I gotta press the hood switch. Where is it? This one? Right. I'm gonna put the scan tool on it, make sure all is well. See if we, you know, get some sort of direction with this vehicle. Yeah, so he definitely replaced the throttle. You see that is looking new, right? We got some green tape on a vacuum hose just to probably have a little vacuum leak right there, right? And he swapped out the ECU before he left, right? So he put on this one because he said it ran better, but it's still like you know, was hesitant and like failing, and as the vehicle gets warm it works a little better, you dig? So you know, let's put the scan tool on it and see if we get any sort of direction which can assist us, right? So I'm not sure if it's a communication problem with the, like if it's a CAN network problem or whatever issue it have communication wise, right? But as I said, let's put the scan tool on it and see if we get anything to rear his head, you know? Where's the key? Do I have the key? Let's see if I get the key. All right, so this is a 2 liter, no, sorry, this is a 5.7, my bad. All right, 2006, you don't see much of these around. right? But I said let's scan the vehicle and see what's good. All right, so let's start that up. We're gonna do intelligent diagnostics. Right, this definitely look like it's a monster, man. You dig? The V8. I believe these carry the dual spark plug coil setup, right? So yeah, let's see what's good, man. I mean, we could do a quick scan, see if anything like. Hold on, real quick. Let's see if I could just run through this. All right, so I'm seeing like he has a lot of folds, right? So I'm gonna just make a report. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of faults on, so I'm gonna make a report, right? Save it for the customer. That's, for future reference. He have things like for the sauna, the HVAC and stuff like that, but he didn't come for that. Not seeing anything under the PCM, the TCM. What do we have here under the BCM? We have loss of communication with the radio and the sunroof, right? ABS. We got some steering problems, battery low. What else do we have? We have lost communication with radio, stuff like that, right? So as I said, we're gonna just use that pre-scan. Doesn't look like we have any issues here when it comes to the PCM, right? Let's go into the PCM and see if we can find something. Not seeing no codes, but let's go into the data stream, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna see. Right, I'm gonna pull up some sort of PIDs, for like sensors, RPM, pressure, APP. He said the APP2, he saw that it was glitching out from time to time, right? So I want to keep that in the back of my mind. Do we have coil, burn time, crank, injector pulse? What else am I gonna pick? Engine speed. What else? I can pick a dwell, ignition dwell time, injector pulse, vacuum, air, map. I'm just gonna pick some random PIDs that, if you have any misfires, oil pressure. I don't want to pick too much because it definitely slows down the computer, but I'm gonna pick spark advance too because I'm not sure if it's a timing issue that you have, right? So, okay, let's come out of, no, that should be it, right? So let's start the vehicle up and see exactly what's going on. Okay, the vehicle start right up. Okay, so I'm seeing everything looking good. Smelling a lot of fumes though, like it's dumping fuel. So do we have an injector problem? Okay. Right now we idling like around 800. But I'm hearing something like clicking. I'm not sure what that is. You're hearing something like it's clicking while the vehicle is running. Okay, let's step on the X and see if any misfire or anything will like show up or okay. So I'm not seeing anything at the moment. Everything looking like it's supposed to. Let's smash the brake and let's put it in drive. You definitely have a rough idle to it though. I'm seeing, what am I seeing? Not really seeing anything. Right, but definitely hearing like a clicking coming from the engine. All right, let's do something else, right? Let's back out of here and let's go back in and see what do I see. Everything looks good. But from time to time you keep hearing that something like it's clicking. I'm not sure what that clicking is about, but you're feeling it's like it have a rough idle, and you're smelling fuel, like it's dumping to emissions. Do we have any problems in the TCM? Let's check the TCM. No fault codes, is there? No. Okay, let's go into read data. I want to look at battery voltage. It's good. What else should I look at? Engine speed, temperature, upward speed. I'm not gonna move the vehicle, but I just want to take a look at well, I'm not seeing anything to right now. Probably gotta take it for a run while I'm watching these other PIDs. Okay, let's take this for a spin while I'm watching some PIDs and see if we can get something to act up. Alright, so let's pick anything. Like the map and the mass and the what do we have here? You can pick the solenoids, oil pressure, voltage. What else do we need? TP1, 2. You could go for the APP. Let's go for that. Let's go. Matter of fact, let's go through the back door. If we go through the back door, I wonder if we can get some info on this vehicle. Like some more data. I just trying to figure out what is going on. Alright, so let's start this up first. Okay, so it start right up. So let's look at our dwellers. We're gonna grab this. We're looking for anything that might stick his head out. Right, so my APP1 is at 45 millivolts. APP2 is at 22 millivolts, and from every so often it grounds. Right, so let's look at our. Looking for some type of direction. Alright, let's step on the X and see. Oh, it cut off. Why did it cut off? I'm gonna crank it again. Is it fuel? I mean, he do have a quarter tank, but let's check fuel pressure. Does this have fuel pressure? Anything with fuel pressure? It's like the vehicle is like trying to stay alive. And I believe it cut out. No, it's running. Okay, let's take this vehicle for a run, just around the block, and hopefully something shows up. Okay, so we're gonna just grab this. The sun is really hot today, man. How do you put this AC on? Do it work? Please let that AC work. It's really hot today. Why did all my information clear out? Okay, we're gonna go right back into PCM. Let's read data stream and let's look at our measurements. We're gonna graph this and we're gonna start it up. So I'm just watching any kind of PIDs that can probably assist me with diagnosing this vehicle. Basically getting like a flat spot and it cuts out. Do we have a ECM problem, man? When you step on the X, all the parameters of the ECU cuts out on the data. And it cuts off. Okay, so that's, you see what's happening. It basically cuts off on its own. You're not seeing anything. You're basically blind. Key is on. Alright, let's start up from here. Let's go back in and it comes back up. So I don't want to go after anything as yet, because for some unknown reason, when the car gets hot, I'm losing all data on my scan tool, which is hooked up to the DLC, and the car runs like crap, right? And it shut off on its own. And it goes out. So am I losing communication with the PCM? Okay, let's see what's going on. We could be basically having an issue with our PCM. I don't want to put it out there, but why is it every time the vehicle about to stall, it shakes up and that's it? Let's see how the injectors are looking. The injectors, basically, they're not bad. They're around the same. And bails out. Okay, that's okay, so let's start the vehicle and just make a block, and while we're watching some data, I guess. Right now, it could be a faulty PCM, although he put back on the original PCM. Could be that, man. So let's take it for a ride and see how it performs. Right, so I'm not planning on going too far because this car is it's cutting off while you're driving. So the steering is gain, you know, it stays good, but for some unknown reason at low idle speed, it like shuts off. Okay, so as I said, when this vehicle is at low idle speed, that's when it's like messing up, man. Right now I'm stopping. Let's see if it. I had to like basically start it up a few times. It could be, let's say, it could be like the crank or the. Oh man, you're losing power. Wow, it felt like it jerked. Oh, and wow, okay. Okay. I was like tipping on the X and it just launched. Okay, where could we go? I think I might want to scope the crank and cam and see if like one of them is acting up and causing the ECM not to know what's going on. Could be. Hold on, let me put on the seatbelt. Yeah, so it's breaking up real bad. It feels like it's a misfire, but it's not. Okay, let's go in reverse. We're going in reverse now. Let's go back in drive. Oh, this thing got some kick tape, man. Is it a feeling sensor? It could be that's causing the vehicle to cut off, because he said it happens like when it's really cold, it basically like shuts all the way off. So I'm not sure if it's a. I think I gotta scope that crank and cam and see if we have a feeling sensor that's causing this vehicle to shut off. Because it had to be like heat related, because when I started the vehicle up, it was like, you know, idling all over, you know, raising up and down, and then it was like shutting off. And now I know a lot better. It cuts off. I'll put it back in park. Gotta start it over. So what should we do? It cuts off again. Could be a feeling crank sensor, cam sensor. I don't want to speculate, but or ECU problem. So I was able to take this for a spin. I barely made it back to the shop. I was basically cutting off a few times, right? So we're gonna go straight for the ECU because what was happening is I'm not sure what's happening. Right, so I'm gonna go directly for the ECU because I'm seeing that sometimes the PIDs is like cutting out when I'm driving. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, right? So I could get to the cam sensor and the coils and stuff like that, but let's go directly to the ECU and, you know, go after the crank sensor and the cam and stuff like that, just to see exactly what's going on. If it's a timing issue that he's having, but this vehicle is definitely like bugging out, man. It's cutting out, it's failing, it's just stalling on its own, right? So as I said, let me just get my equipment and set it up on the ECU and we could figure out what's going on. Okay, so I got the scope hooked up, right? So sensor ground is pin 26. That's the blue waveform. The red is 5-volt supply. That's going to all the sensors and stuff like that, right? That's pin 29. 34 is the cam. 35 is the the cam is the yellow, right, and the crank is the green, right? So that's 35 and 34. So, right, let's start the vehicle up and see exactly what's going on, right? So I just got it basically rolling to hoping that I see something or something, stick his head out, right? I'm seeing a lot of noise on this waveform. Okay, so let's open this up a little bit. All right, let's pull this up. So ever so often I'm seeing a spike? Why am I getting that spike? I'm seeing a spike. I'm not sure if it's noise. Matter of fact, let's pause this. Okay, and see if we can figure out what's going on. My timing looking okay, to be honest. It don't look like anything is dropping out. Right, but ever so often on all the waveforms, I'm seeing this spike. Why is that? And it's happening on each one. So let's see if we could get a little closer. It's looking like a injector or a coil, something. All right, the blue is my sensor ground, right? So I'm supposed to be seeing, anything a little over 0 volts, but I'm seeing a large spike on my sensor ground. Let's prove this out. So right now I'm seeing at least 10 volts on my sensor ground. Why is that? And let's see the difference actually between that pull down to the spike. It's 27 volts. So I'm seeing 27 volts on my sensor ground when I'm not supposed to. Let's see if we're getting the same thing on the 5-volt supply. Let's see. So my 5-volt supply is elevating up to, let's say, a difference of 18 volts. That's a lot of volts on a 5-volt supply. So you definitely, sorry about the noise in the background, man. That's the neighbors playing their microphone, I guess, and the birds, and can't stop it, right? But let's look at the crank. On the crank sensor, I'm seeing, what is this? I'm seeing 13 volts on my crank, 18 volts. So it looks like something is feeding power, current into my signal. And if it's happening throughout this whole waveform, if I'm going to scroll in, ever so often you get a spike when I'm not supposed to. Look, there it is. There's a huge spike there and a spike there. Matter of fact, let's try something, right? I'm gonna save this waveform, right? And I'm gonna hook onto my coils while I'm hooked onto one of those sensors. And if I'm seeing the spike there, that's letting me know that probably one of those coils is acting up and seeping power into the what you call it? Into my ECM. You dig? So let's save this. Right? We're gonna go, what is this? The charger, right? So we gotta name this. This is my, what is this? My ground. Right, this is my sensor ground. Sensor ground. Right, this is my 5-volt supply. This is my green is my crank. And this is my cam. This is supposed to be my cam sensor. So it definitely looked like we may be having issues where let's save this, right? All right, so let's save this and let's hooked up some what you call that? Coil and plug setup. While we're watching, let's say the cam sensor, we could watch any one of them, and we're gonna see if you're getting that spike, and that'll let me know, you know, if one of the coil is the coil or the injector. It had to be something with high voltage. I mean, I'm getting like, let's say 30 volts, almost 30 volts, 18 kick sometimes on my sensor, and you gotta look at something that could generate that kind of power. I mean, alternator is the next thing that can give you that kind of kick. As I said, man, let me set up my coil and plug on the coils, right? So this is coil 1, 3, 5, 7, and that is the even numbers, right? Up to 8. So let's do that. We got a coil pickup on cylinder 2, 4, and 6. I also still got it hooked onto the one of those sensors that I'm not sure if it's the crank or the cam, right? So I'm looking out for whenever I get that spike, if the spikes lines up with one of the coils, and that will kind of, you know, give me some sort of direction of where that kick is coming from. If I'm not seeing a kick, well, I gotta probably go on the injectors next and see what's going on. But it's definitely something of that could generate large voltage that's seeping into and basically looks like it's knocking out all my sensors, you know, even the grounds, right? So let's see. Okay, what is that about? Okay, let's stop this and let's take a look. Okay, let's come out of here. Let's go back. So we definitely may have an issue with the where the coil is seeping into the oh man, this doesn't look too good. All right, let's put a long 10 seconds. All right, so that should be good. Okay, let's redo this test and see if we get anything. Oh, that sounds horrible. Okay. Okay, so let's stop the scope and let's switch the ignition off. And let's take a look at what we got. Right, so far it looks like one of those coils is seeping into my, let's minimize this. We gotta look for the one that lines up with the crank sensor. Let's make these bigger, I mean smaller, so it don't kind of, you know, it don't distract us. Okay, so when we see this peak right here, matter of fact, let's come out of here. Okay, so let's look when we got these large spikes, what's happening and who it lines up with. Is it the red? It's also happening. Okay, so when I get this misfire, it's happening on the rest of the, so when I get this misfire, it looks like a misfire. It's basically, you know, throwing off my crank sensor. Okay, let's come out of here. Let's see if it's happening on both coils or just one. No, it's not happening there. It's only happening on that one coil, on the blue. Wow. So it looks like, let me take the key off, right? It looks like number 2 coil is knocking out the, you know, basically acting up and feeding into the PCM. Wow. That's All right, so what it looks like, number 2 coil is, feeding back into the PCM, right, and knocking out the sensor and the sensor ground and the cam and the crank and causing this vehicle to act up. So what we could do, right, going to disconnect coil number 2 and redo my test and see how it starts. I mean, they're gonna start with a misfire, but it might be better than what's going on now, right? So let's do that. Let's set back up my screen record. I said, man, my apologies for all those birds in the background. It's that time of the year. But what you gonna do? So we're gonna just take some captures, right? We're gonna disconnect number 2. Right, we're gonna leave number 2 out. And we're gonna start this vehicle over and see how it starts. I mean, it could have damaged other stuff, but I'm not sure. But let's start it up and see what's going on. So it sounds better. It just got the misfire. I mean, and you're not seeing any spikes. Okay, let's stop this capture, and while it's running, we know we got number 2 as the fault, but I'm not seeing that spike anymore. Nope. I'm not seeing that spike anymore. Okay. So let's step on the X and see if it sounds much better. I definitely have the check light on because I got number 2 disconnected, but it's gonna run a little rough because number 2 coil is disconnected, but at least it's not cutting out like before. Okay, so I'm gonna inform the customer that, let me take this car off. Right, so we definitely gonna have that number 2 coil to replace. I'm gonna let the customer know that, if he wants, he can replace the plugs while he at it. But here we got a faulty coil that's causing this misfire and loss of power, right? And it's basically feeding back into the PCM and knocking out everything, because I mean, my data is letting me know that I'm not getting any issue anymore. I mean, matter of fact, to verify this, I'm gonna hook on to let's hook up one of the other sensors that we had, which was the ground. Let's see the sensor ground, right? I'm just gonna plug back in to the sensor ground. That's what's pin. Oh, I could get the sensor supply, right? I'm just gonna hook that up, and we're gonna, since we got that coil disconnect, right, I'm gonna reset the scope, and we're gonna see exactly if I'm not getting any more spikes. And that's it. We have a faulty coil that's having issues and knocking out the PCM. Crazy. How would you have figured that out if you wasn't scoping? Scan tool wouldn't tell you that. Multimeter definitely wouldn't tell you that. But what you gonna do? Okay. So I'm just gonna open these captures up a little bit so you can see if we gain any spikes. You will get a little spike on the hold on, let's see what's going on here, man. You make me a liar. The red one. What's the red one about? The red one is number 4. Alright, so I basically hooked on to the next sensor, which is my power supply. That's the blue waveform, right? We're going to start the vehicle up. So right now I got my coil pickup on 4 and 6, right? And it's on the crank sensor and I believe the 5-volt signal. Let's start it up. I'm looking for any, spikes that can, there you go, man. Nothing. Let's bring this down to 10 volts. I mean, you will get a little spike, but nothing major like before. Could be a ground problem. Hold on, wait. Let's make sure my ground is good. I'm gonna go right here. Yeah, possible my ground wasn't good, but at least I'm not getting that elevated voltage that I was getting before. So let's say I'm up to like close to 6 volts, 5.9. That's not bad. That's better than before. I was getting 18 volts, 20 volts on my signal when I'm not supposed to. And you see that is my signal from my crankshaft cleaned up. But yeah. So we're definitely gonna call this a fix. Right, that's it, man. I mean, you will definitely have some little issues. I'm not sure what that kick was like messing up. That misfire was messing up, right? It didn't show in the scan tool. You saw the PCM was basically clean, right? And now we have, we don't have any issues anymore. So we're gonna call that a fix. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. You definitely see your boy just be trying his best. Yeah, that's what's up, man. So we got a faulty coil that's feeding voltage into the PCM and knocking out stuff, right? I want to leave that coil out until the customer purchase one, and yeah, you're gonna call that a fix, man. Until next time, y'all take it easy.